All right. Welcome to Star Diamonds. I'm so excited for today's call. We're just going to jump right into it because so excited for this call. Emma obviously is going to be speaking with us today. What is amazing about Emma is she is a mommy of an adorable 3-year-old named Bentley. She also has been a coach just for a little over a year now, and so she's been running with it. And she's currently ranked number 203 in the network. I had a coach today ask me how many coaches are actually out there because everybody posts a little bit differently. It's 368,000. I think that's the right number. Anyways, it changes every second. But along with that, Emma already has all of her elite points for the year. Her volume has already grown from 200,000 last year to over 600,000 this year. So we trend it around 8, if not more. So it's going to be absolutely amazing. And from there, she has built an extremely strong foundation. And so she has done that by really mastering or getting to know how to truly lead your coaches to success. So without further ado, Emma, I'm going to go ahead and have you unmute yourself. I'll mute myself and everybody else if you will mute yourself. After that, of course, it will open up to a Q&A, and you are more than welcome to unmute and just talk away, okay?
Thank you, Brittany. I've actually been a coach for 2 years, but no, it's okay. So my 2 years was in June, and but thank you. I really appreciate you having me on this call, and for all of you guys taking the time out, because I'm a mom. I know how busy we can get. I saw some of you have a headache. Some of you are picking up your kids. So I just really appreciate you guys being on this call to hear what I have to say. So I kind of wanted to give a background of why I wanted to talk about this particular subject. Because I think we all go through hard times in our business, right? Where we feel like we're doing everything that we can. We're being, product of the product. We are feeling like we're doing all these things for our team, but they're not following. And I think that I've heard that on some of the calls in the previous weeks on how some of us are feeling like we're doing all this that we can, but we're not seeing it from our team. So when I heard Amy Silverman talk in Cancun on the top 10 panel, she was talking about how at her 2-year mark, she was really struggling and feeling like she was doing, everything right, but her leaders weren't following or leading for themselves. And so she realized that she didn't have many of those coaches in her first 2 years now in her business now, because she found out her niche and she realized what she was going for. So when I heard that, it was like a really aha moment for me of I'm doing everything right, but my leadership is what needs to be taken to the next level. So when I figured this out, I said, okay, I'm doing personal development, but where's my leadership development? So I don't know if any of you have read this book, but if you don't have it, The 21 Irrefutable Laws by John C. Maxwell, 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership by John C. Maxwell. Can I get a raise of hands of who actually has read it? So I just know. 2 of you? Okay, so I highly recommend this. This is a go to the Barnes & Noble today and go get it. So I wanted to start off with the lid. So the law of the lid. And this is the first chapter you're going to read when you get this book. And there's 3 things that really stood out with me that realized, okay, this is what I need. So he says, the higher you want to climb, the more you need leadership. The greater the impact you want to make, the greater your influence needs to be. Leadership's ability is always the lid on personal and organizational effectiveness. And to reach the highest level of effectiveness, you have to raise the lid one way or another. So that was honestly opening up to my faults, to my team, to opening up with them and being vulnerable and saying, you know what? I realize that I've struggled in some areas and I want to help you and I want to grow. And instead of looking at my goals, it was time for me to focus back on their goals, because I realized my mindset had changed, not intentionally, but in a way that I didn't think that it was. And I kind of heard from an outside perspective. And so I've really been honing in and focusing on that. So the things I wanted to talk about were taking their hand in the beginning with the willing and ready. So when I decided to figure out who this was, I created a survey for my team. And what this was able to allow me to do was to see, what they wanted or where they wanted to go, what they were struggling with, how I can help them, what motivates them the most to reach their goals, and what was their gem. Those were the 5 questions that I asked them. And with that, I was able to realize what gem they were, so what they were motivated by just by filling out that test. Yes, it takes a little bit of time because if you've done it, it's like, I think it's like 12 or 18 pages of questions, but you figure it out at the very end. And so I've created an inner circle. So I had about 17 people fill that out with my personally sponsored. And I honed in on the ones that were seriously ready. And I have one-on-one calls with them every single week now. And that's because they've wanted it. I had a call with them about what they wrote about in this survey. And I said, would you think me having a one-on-one with you would keep you accountable, and I can help you with, you can choose that homework. Like I think it was 2 National Wake Up Calls ago, she was talking about how she asks what their homework is going to be for that week. So you don't assign them a homework. What are they going to work on? Because you might think that they can work on something, but really they don't feel like they have the time or they can't do that. So I've been getting people saying, even just within the next week, keep me accountable for posting every single day, because I have a lot newer coaches who I'm working with right now. So that's just something they need to be consistent with. So I want to help them where they need it. So your ambition has gotten us to this point, right? So we're all here because we've helped 2 people become leaders of their own and their own team. So, but my leadership and our leadership is what's going to take us to the next level. So we can be focused on personal development and we can be focused on our goals, but that's not necessarily what leaders do. We're focusing on what their goals are and how we can help them reach their goals to help us reach our goals. But that's not my mindset anymore. My goals, yes, I have goals, but how I'm going to get there is by helping my team reach their goals. So with this survey, I want to challenge you all to make a survey for your team. And I want to challenge you all to say, hey, I'm really growing as a leader and I really want to know who needs my help and where I can help you. Because with these people, we make friendships, but like all of our goals are always changing, right? We're always having different things that we need to be working on. So does our team, but we're not going to ever realize that or figure out what they need if we're not asking them questions. So ask them questions. I challenge you to create this survey, and I can even post it in the Mastermind group later on if you want, so you can have the questions. But, ask them questions, what are they motivated by, all of those things, because I realized that they were answering me with way more in-depth questions than I had ever gotten from them. Because sometimes I feel like when we're talking to them one-on-one, they want to make us feel proud, or they want to tell us what they think we want to hear. Do you know what I mean? Because we are their leader and they want to make us proud. They want to make us happy. But by giving them a safe place to legitimately write down their answers of what they want, I found out one of my girlfriends wants to retire her mom. She had never talked to me she had never said that to me, and we text every single day, right? So when I did this, I really, really found out their true goals of really why they want this to work. So change your focus from your goals to their goals. I really did think that that's how my mindset was, but it has taken me this book and mentorship with other people to really realize that I need to be more vulnerable. I needed to open up about my failures, because we all fail in this business. I was hearing that some of my team never thought I had hard days. And I was like, yeah, no, like that's not okay. Like we need to be real with them. We need to show them that we're going to struggle. And I thought I was doing that, but I needed to do it in a way that was talking to them. And another thing I found out is a lot of mine with the GEM tests are focused on charity, and they're very driven by their pearls. So by helping people and by doing all that stuff. So I actually am running a 4-month group with them at the very end of this year. We started last week, and it's called Making a Push for Purpose. And so I'm not necessarily focusing on Success Club, but in their modules and stuff that I'm doing, they need to be changing at least 3 lives a month. They need to be building their team, like they said, but they're setting these goals for themselves. I'm not setting these goals for them. We have weekly calls, and I also am doing one-on-one with them because I realized that I wasn't doing the basics like I should have been doing, like I was in the beginning. We get comfortable, right, with anything. And so you need to look at it more as, how can I take their hand and help them so that they will fly, right? So that they will create their own team. But in the beginning, we all need that help. And maybe you didn't have that help in the beginning with your upline, but I know I did. I had that mentorship. I had that help that, someone was believing in me and someone was encouraging me to always do better. And that's what we need to be doing with our new coaches, and realize that we didn't always know, quote unquote, everything. We'll never know everything, but you know what I mean? Like, we didn't know that at the beginning. So to have that patience and still have that, okay, you can do this, I believe in you, but they need to have that for them to fly free. And then, have I talked about my inner circle? Did I mention that? Okay, so I also created an inner circle. So with the survey, I chose 5 people. And so I have a message thread going with them. And that is a place for me when I'm, so say I'm working on something for the team, because with this survey, I also realized I have a lot of visual learners and a lot of people who want to do paper and pen. So I've been making stuff to put into binders for them. And so with this inner circle, I could say, hey, I'm working on this, I'm making this, what do you guys think? What's your input? So not only am I communicating with them, I'm also giving them a chance to be a part of the team, be leaders on the team, and to have a say in what we're doing. Because I could be creating something for them and think it's awesome. Yeah, this is going to be so awesome. And then I put it out there and no one's going to benefit from it. So these are just, 5 people who you are, would be willing to help you out. Not necessarily help you out, but give feedback, who could take that and run with it. So I chose the people who are the most willing and ready. And is the Facebook group, it is just a private message, because with having that 4-month push that I'm having, I didn't want to add another Facebook group to their stress level. So it's just, it just says inner circle, and it's just a message thread on Facebook that I have with them. But I mean, honestly, that's really all that I had to share. I just really want to emphasize that book in the leadership development versus the personal development. They're completely different. And so even if you're reading personal development, I highly suggest always reading a leadership development, whether it's podcast or another John C. Maxwell. I mean, he has 75 books. Another one is Great Leaders Ask Good Questions. So, just really honing in on how we can be better leaders, because our teams are going to follow us. They're looking to us for how they can be leaders. And so by being real and being honest and being hey, I'm still growing as a leader. I don't know it all. I'm never going to know it all. But I want to know who's ready to fly with me with being a leader. And so I'm not mastered yet, by the way. I've really just been focusing on this the last month and a half, because I went through some hard stuff for about a few months with emotional stuff. And so it's just been new to me, but I'm a lot more passionate about it because I'm waking up a lot more fulfilled knowing that I'm not just going for my goals. I'm really just helping them reach their goals. Yes, I can repeat the 5 questions. I'm a full-time Beachbody coach, so I work from home, and I do it during my son's nap time. So he still has nap time, and so on Tuesdays I have 2 of the calls. Actually, I have 3 calls on Tuesdays, 1 of the calls on Fridays, and 1 call on Thursday. But I try and do it during nap time, and not doing it on Mondays and Wednesdays because he has preschool and other stuff. And the 5 questions are: where do you want to go with your business? What are you struggling with? And you can even specify in there personal and then business-wise, because you want to know both. how can I help you? And if they say, oh, you already do an amazing job, dig a little deeper. Okay, thank you. Like, that's really awesome. But, how can I keep you accountable? How can I really help you reach these goals? And that's why a lot of us have one-on-ones, because we're very visual and they need me right now. What motivates you the most to reach your goals? And then what gem are you? And I included the link underneath that question for the gem test. And then gave them, and I like I said, I can post the survey so you can see how I have it. It's just in the Google Docs or in like one of those Google Drive, but that's where I have it. So it just gives you a whole big list.
Love it. What other questions do you have for Emma? Sometimes this is the hardest. I just sometimes this is the hardest trait to really conquer. And I think it's because so many of us come into this business and we're not leaders. And now all of a sudden we bring on this, organization of people that are really looking up to you. And that's hard. So you do, I always go back to this, and I remember it so vividly from Summit, but Lindsay Matway truly said, the only person you can change is you. So if you're struggling in an area, especially leadership, which does not come common to many, honestly, develop the trait. You can develop any single trait if you put your heart to it. But John Maxwell is absolutely one of my favorites. Good Leaders Ask Great Questions is by far one of the best books I've read. And that's something that I take to a lot of my coaches is if they're having a big struggle, with a coach, or, it's just an honest conversation, whatever it is, you ask a ton of questions. And you become that leader that listens, that emphasizes, that really, truly cares. Because the biggest thing with leadership, you want them to work towards their goals. One thing you said, Emma, was that you realize, and I know you and Alexa, yep, we're working on this together, where they have been pushing so hard for elite, and it's been about elite. And even though it included their coaches' goals, it was so centered about being an elite team. Well, if you look at it, being an elite team is a phenomenal thing, and it will show your coaches what is possible. But keep in mind, your name is the one that's tied to it. So the coaches don't realize how they're truly part of it. But what you and Alexa did is what I absolutely love. Do you mind sharing that?
Yeah, the Push for Purpose group that we're doing.
Yeah.
So Alexa Campbell and I are success partners, and we realized that we both did this survey. And the thing that her team was struggling with most was paying their bills. And the thing that my team is struggling with most, or wants the most, is to pay off debt. And so it was really cool to collaborate and to see, like, okay, our teams are completely different. And the way that Alexa and I have been doing things were kind of similar. So I was like, okay, I need to really focus on how my team needs to be talked to. And that was, I think, a huge thing for me, and having that person to compare it to, because her group is called Holiday Hustle. And mine is Making a Push for Purpose. Do you see how completely different those titles are? Because our coaches are completely different. But what we're doing is we're still, using the same materials, and literally our modules are just giving them tips. So it's like, if you want to reach your goals, these are the minimum that you should be doing to reach those goals. You don't necessarily need to get it done, but if this is what you have said and this is what you want, we are giving you these tips to do it. And it's only been a week, but it's actually been going really well, because the people that are in there are they applied for this group. They wanted to be in this group. They want to make a push for purpose. So like this month, we're all just focusing on inviting, creating new conversations. Next month, yes, it's only for my PS coaches. Next month, it's going to be another kind of team cup. So we kind of have like one emerald with 2 or 3 coaches on a team. So then if they're emerald by the end of this month, they get to be a part of creating their own team next month. And then in November, since it's Thanksgiving and giving back, and Beachbody always does something with giving back, we are doing like a team thing where if they reach their goals, they get to donate a certain amount of money to the charity that they want. So, if they're reaching their goals, I'm donating that money to the charity that they want. So, and then in December, it's only going to be the first 2 weeks because it's Christmas, but we're still going to be focusing on, because January is literally in 3 months, and that's when everyone wants to join, right? So these next 4 months, instead of being like, oh, these are the hard months, no, we're going to help you, and we're going to make these not hard months, because we're setting you guys up for the next year and for these next few months. So that's kind of our group that we have made. are making in the making, but it's been growing really good.
Thanks for sharing that, because I know both of you have shifted your focus, but it's really helped your team to see the bigger purpose and what they're working towards and really make them successful.
Mm-hmm.
So I love that. Thank you, Emma.
Yeah.
Any other questions in regards to this training, to anything else that they're doing? Yeah, Shannon, go. I love it.
Where'd you go?
Sorry, I hit the wrong. Emma, with the GEM test, do you think it would be effective at all to just do, like, I've seen some little summary graphics that basically give the bullets, and you can kind of look at those and you kind of know who you are, where you do you think that would be effective at all? The reason I ask is I tried to introduce this not too long ago and I got like 0 participation from people because it was so long.
Yeah. And so what I did is I actually did the test before I put it out there, because I was like, okay, my team's going to do it if I do it. And so I did the test and I put what mine was. I was like, I'm a Pearl is my first one, and my second one is Ruby. So when I put out there what mine were, they were like, oh, I want to know what I am, because I want to see if I'm the same as her or if I'm different. So in the survey, I actually put what gem I am, and I got a lot more response. I mean, I had 17 people fill out the survey, and I didn't get one complaint about it being too long. And I mentioned it. I was like, this is a little bit longer, but I would really appreciate it if you took the time to do this, because it will really help me understand how I can better help you in your goals. So
do you give that in the onboarding process too? Do you have to put that out or anything?
I don't. This is actually the first time I had ever introduced it to my team.
You ladies know that we have a discount code for the color code test, right? Are you aware of that? That might be an easier one too. I mean, and I'm just throwing it out there just because we did an entire 5-star diamond call on this, and Julia Jackson taught about it. It was phenomenal. And it's that silly stinking color code that you did back in elementary school. And you're like, because I remember doing it back then and I was all yellow. And then I swear several years went by and I'm like, all red. And now into my 30s, I am a little bit of all of those and then some blue, which for me, blue, I'm like, really? Like,
I think we did this at leadership actually in January. I think I remember doing this.
Yes, you did. Yep, exactly. And it's a pie and it tells you exactly what portion. But there is an actual Beachbody discount code that gives you, I think it's like the $35 package for free. And it just digs a little bit deeper. So there is other options. And that one took me maybe 10 minutes. And people kind of laugh because it goes back to like, how'd you feel when you were 8 years old and da-da-da happened? Yeah. Okay, I don't remember, but you do remember. You know what I mean? But that's another great one that you can absolutely do, and it does change throughout the years. Mm-hmm. So just another option that, you know, if you're interested in that, I can always give you the code, and then you can take it to your teams and see exactly what that is.
Cool.
Yeah. What else?
Was this helpful? I just always like, okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
What are a couple of things that you're going to take to your team? Or Shannon, you can go.
I was just going to say, she just did an awesome job. It was really clear and concise and helpful. So thank you.
I'm glad. Because this is something I've been working on. So I was like, I mean, I'm going to talk about this, but I'm still so new about it. But I'm very passionate about it right now. So I'm very glad.
These traits don't come easy, I promise.
No, they don't. And it's hard because I was such a perfectionist at the beginning. I really struggled with that. And so to be able to own up to that and be like, okay, I really need to change it was huge for me. And so I really just encourage you. Your team will accept you for whoever you are. They join with you for a reason. And so they want that realness for sure.
Okay. No other questions? Are you going to go out and buy at least a leadership book? She has a great suggestion on one. Anybody else want to say anything before we
I just want to say thank you for the suggestion about asking them to set their own homework, because that's where I've really struggled. I either set arbitrary, like, you know, I'll get back to you in a week and we'll go from there, or I say complete this and get back to me when you've done with it, and it never works. But I like the idea of them telling me what they can accomplish in a certain time, and then that keeps them, they feel like they have ownership in what they're going to do. So thank you for that.
Yeah, and then I also like that because it puts it on them. It's not on us.
Right.
You know, and I had someone say, you know, I run a sneak peek week for my team every single month, and it's like the Megan Ewaldson, what she does. And one of the girls that I talked with one-on-one said, I'm going to invite 15 people. And we had our call the next week, and she was like, oh, well, I didn't get around to that. And I was like, well, why not? Like, I mean, and she was like, sorry. And I was like, well, why are you sorry to me? I was like, that's not me, you know, like that's all on what you have to do. So it's really helped a lot.
Great, thanks.
Yeah.
One last thing I was just going to say is if you have never done a survey with your coaches to really see, you know, what your strengths are, first and foremost, let me actually say, a survey is a great way to get constructive criticism. And I know at points where like, ugh, that stinks. You don't want to know some of these things. But I promise you, you will grow leaps and bounds, and you will know exactly what you're doing right, what exactly you're doing wrong, but more importantly, how to work with each coach, because every single person is so different. So you really, truly need to do it. And just take it as a grain of salt, you know what I mean? See what you can learn on, what you can improve on, and how you can truly help them. But I really do, same thing that Emma, you know, put the challenge out with, is I challenge you to create a survey and really know what your coaches are working towards. Because if Emma and Alexa did not do that, they wouldn't know, and they would keep on pushing their coaches to not what they're working towards. And then eventually they'll fall off because they're like, ugh, you know what I mean? They're not working for themselves. So I'm going to really challenge you to do that. Post a survey and really get some feedback back, and then say, you know what? This is what I'm going to work on. And even if you're like, Brittany, some of this stuff was kind of tough to kind of digest, let's talk about it. Let's collaborate. Let's see what silver lining we can get out of it to really move forward and progress, because that's one thing that will hold you back, but by knowing everything, it will only spring you forward. Okay. So Emma, great call. I absolutely loved it. Great suggestions.
Thank you.
Thanks for, you're welcome. Thanks for your participation. That was a hard word, participation, coaches. I hope you all have an amazing Tuesday afternoon. And of course, if you need anything, I'm always here for you, but you have a wonderful week. Okay. See you later, guys. Thanks again, Emma.